This one is a doozy. I'm sure you've seen clips because there's so many notable moments from this circulating, but I really want to do a deep dive into a lot of these moments from Trump's interview with ABC's Terry Morin, where he every time someone who actually does some reporter type stuff, journalist type stuff, provides a little bit of pushback, Trump cannot handle it and immediately cries foul. And that's what he does in this interview multiple times, as Terry Morin, just as you have the obligation to do in an interview like this, provides some context or fact checks as they go through, starting with the fact that it seems Trump genuinely doesn't know that one of his staff members put onto the hand of Abreu Garcia to translate their interpretation of what his tattoos meant, and they put MS-13 onto his finger in a photo, or fingers in a photo that Trump showed. And Trump gets really annoyed with Terry for pointing that out, and I don't even know if Trump knows that that's what his staff did. It's disturbing, the cluelessness or the dishonesty. Here's this first moment.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says...
Terry, don't do that. Don't correct me. He actually almost admits he just thinks, I did you the service of coming in here and interviewing me, so how dare you correct me?
MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. But I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
We'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
What? Terry, stop. Would you just... we worked hard. We were in Photoshop. We were in Canva. You're insulting our photo. We worked hard on it. So here's the photo he's talking about. I think Trump might actually believe that the MS-13 is the which, by the way, say what you will about MS-13, and there's a lot to say. Some terrible things have been done by them, obviously. But do you think that that is the extent of their artistic power? Is literally just Times New Roman MS-13? Now, what that is the Trump administration put that onto the photo to interpret what they believe, which a lot of people dispute this is at all based in context of MS-13, but they interpreted the tattoos he actually has on his fingers to mean that interpretively. But Trump, at least based on how he handled that, seems to genuinely think. But he can't even critically engage with, wait, what is it that you're saying, Terry? Let me try to debunk it. It's just, Terry, stop. And that's his nature, right? He's all tough guy, but then the second someone does what hosts in these settings are supposed to do, what interviews are supposed to do, provide pushback when necessary and context and facts when necessary, Trump cries foul, he cries victim.
Fake news.
And he cries fake news. Exactly right, Cole. Thank you. Aaron Reichlich Melnick responded to this saying, so to recap, randos on the X claimed to decode the tattoos. By the way, that multiple experts on MS-13 have said have nothing to do with MS-13. And then someone at the White House took that idea and crudely put MS-13 on the image, and Trump actually believed that was what the tattoo said. Again, who in their right mind would just get that? It's so boring. It's terrible. It's so two-dimensional. Have some respect for the tattoo artists, my goodness. And remember that even this debate over do those things mean that which are disputed, all of that is irrelevant, which I've been telling you from the beginning, to why this is so important for us to push back against the throwing out of due process, right? Because we all agree dangerous criminals should be fully held accountable. And that's why we want due process, to make sure we're holding accountable and going after the correct people. And that's the real point with all of this, despite the just cartoonish nature of Trump's defense there. Then he's asked, do you think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
That he's willing to stop the fighting. Don't forget,
think he wants peace? You think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does. I think because
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
And
happy.
then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. You know.
All right.
I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me
No,
just
I am
tell
not,
you,
sir.
I don't trust a lot of people. But I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine.
What? His dream was to... So, can you imagine, can you even fathom, I should say, the shifting of goalposts there? It went from, we're going to get the entire invasion to stop and for a fair deal to be reached, to Putin was gonna take over all of Ukraine. Now we're not gonna get a fair peace deal to stop the invasion and the occupations of the land that they currently are, invading. But you should credit me because they would have taken over all of Ukraine, and now because Putin respects me, they're not going to. So he's actually admitting he's getting nothing out of Putin. And he's a little boy when it comes to his interactions with Putin, because he gets asked, do you trust Putin? And he says, I don't trust you, Terry. I don't trust a lot of people. Okay, but do you trust Putin? He won't say point blank. He's trying to allude to that so you can kind of hear it in his answer. Oh, he doesn't trust a lot of people. He was asked about Putin. Maybe he doesn't trust Putin. But he won't say that directly. He's scared. He's a scared little boy. Then this.
There were some things where, when I heard about them, I put them back, as you know. There are things that I'm considering right now putting back, but overall we've saved hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, the original promise was $2 trillion, went to $1 trillion, now to $150 billion, and heading south.
You don't know what it's going to be because we have things that are at a very high level that are being looked at right now. We also found tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse, as you know. We found a lot of fraud. There was a lot of fraud. Fraudulent things were taking place. And we ended that, and those people are going to be suffering because of it.
A legal note, fraud is a crime. There have been no referrals to the Justice Department on any of
Well, you
these.
don't know that, do you? How do you know that?
Have there been referrals to the... Are there criminal referrals?
How would you know that there were no referrals? I think there were referrals.
They generally... All right, there's been no investigation from the Justice Department.
How do you know that?
I'm asking you, sir.
No, you're not asking me. You made a statement. You're not
now
asking
I'm asking
me.
you.
That was a statement that you made. There have
now
been.
I'm asking you.
Have there been? Yes, there have.
So there have been referrals for fraud from the work of
there have been. Take a look at some of these things.
Do you know what a criminal referral is? Do you even know what he's asking you? Because we most likely would find out, because it would be disclosed, if there were a criminal referral related to fraud that you found in the government that the DOJ was going to be prosecuting. And Trump starts just acting like Terry said a false statement. Well, maybe it's correct that you haven't yet disclosed there was a criminal referral, but he's only going to speak on what is publicly available information, which is that you keep using this word fraud, which would be something illegal, when in reality, you're just talking about stuff that you didn't like. Like you didn't like USAID. You didn't like food assistance to people in other countries. You didn't like medicine to people in other countries to prevent epidemics that could eventually hurt Americans. You didn't like those things. That's not fraud. You just didn't like it.
Referrals for fraud from the work of the judge.
Take a look at some of these things that took place. Billions of dollars were given to people for no reason whatsoever. Of course they have been.
I want to bring up...
on condoms. A bunch of condoms. Or not. So, again, it's interesting that the dismantling of the federal workforce, of these different agencies, it all is justified by that. We're going to find a lot of fraud, and we already have found a lot of fraud and a lot of waste. And then when asking Trump, there are other spokespeople who will lie and distort and then sometimes cite correct things that they feel were wasteful. But when you ask Trump, the head of all of this, what have you found? He just says we found a lot, billions and billions. He won't specify what that is. He did get asked about Hegseth. Before playing this clip, please do click the subscribe button, free on YouTube. And then if you're thinking that's not enough though, just clicking the subscribe button, please, for all that you do. No one says that. But then the join button is how you become a member, and it supports the work even more. Here's Trump's response to the question about Hegseth.
Signal chat with his wife on it where he's discussing that attack in Yemen. There's another signal chat discussing the attack on Yemen. There's a reporter accidentally involved. You said the other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed?
I had a talk with him, and whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you. But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young. He's smart, highly educated. And I think he's going to be a very good hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
You have 100% confidence in
I don't have 100% confidence in anything. Okay? Anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look.
It's a pretty important position.
No. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
Let's go.
Oh, Terry. I wasn't familiar with Mr. Terry Morin. Hello, Terry.
I'm going to
come. Laying down the law, Terry Bear. Look at this.
I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
Let's go.
Ooh. I saw when Trump was on a lot of these answers, we'll watch and go, that was absolutely humiliating. And then I'll go check these right-wing accounts like our buddy Benny, and it'll be, I saw in one of the clips he said, 9/11, I'd like to report a murder. And it was one of the clips of Trump just snapping at Terry. And it's sort of, you don't realize that he doesn't have the intellect to explain why he's correct. So he just tries to explain why the interviewer is dishonest. Like you might remember for all the criticism that MAGA levied on Harris's interview with Fox News, was her method of explaining herself just by attacking Bret Baier's character? No, it was just trying to make her points. However well you believe she made them, it was making her points, not attacking Bret Baier. But Trump's only way, again, like I said, is to cry foul, but then also to attack the interviewer, to make it seem like whatever you think you're hearing or seeing, don't worry about that. Worry about how terrible Terry is. I did love that little moment, though. Another moment that is notable is that Trump just says things. I don't even know how to word this in a way that I haven't already many, many times. He just says things. So if you compare what he's saying, you take what he's saying and then imagine you sort of put it on a whiteboard. What is he saying and what is true? It's just weird. It's this weird phenomenon where there's this huge gap between what he's saying and what is true. A lie. I could have said it quicker with that. A lie. It's called a lie.
And Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over Canada's going to become the 51st state. And it kind of is of a piece. A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational damage.
The country's doing great.
Well,
prices are down.
Not the tourism.
Gasoline's down. Energy's down.
False.
Tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now, Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
But do you think, I'm going to ask you, if I may, do you think the...
I find myself unironically doing the Tucker Carlson look during a lot of these interviews. He just says whatever he wants to be true. No, tourism is way up.
Bullshit.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Trump. See, you're correct. It's so irritating. We covered last night we covered the live speech he delivered for his first 100 days, and it's just discombobulating how willing he is to just spew utter nonsense. I will say, I've mentioned this before, the power of positive thinking is great, but if you just take it to start lying, it no longer is great. And I imagine if you did this in your personal life. Oh, Luke, did you turn in that report that's due today? Yes, it's a great report. And I nailed it. But you only wrote one paragraph. It's supposed to be 3 pages. No, I know, but I wrote all 3 pages and it's perfect and you love it and we all love it and I got an A. Like, I guess it would maybe be good to say those things to yourself in the mirror before you write the report, but after it's due and you're just lying, I don't know if power positive thinking works there, Trump. I don't think it works there. Then on China.
Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're trying to say something's going to happen, Terry.
No, okay, well,
nothing's going to happen.
You know business.
Terry,
I want to ask you.
I do know business.
Yes, so 145% tariffs on China, and that's good. Basically an embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on everything from electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at 145, they basically can't do much business with the United States. And they were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad. If you look at the European Union, it was terrible what they've done to us. Every country, almost every country in the world was ripping us off. They're not doing that anymore.
So we've explained his lack of understanding about even the words that he's trying to communicate there. But he keeps saying, this is a new thing that he's been saying, that China is going to eat the tariffs. That term eat would make sense if you're talking about you're encouraging U.S. companies to eat the cost of the tariffs, meaning pay the extra you have to pay to import the product, but don't pass that on to the consumers. That, for many companies, will be economically impossible, which is part of the problem. But that at least is a sentence that makes sense, that the company should eat the cost or will eat the cost. It's going to be a false statement if Trump said that, but it would make coherent English sense. It makes zero sense to say China will eat the tariffs because China is not paying the tariffs. They might have to eat the economic impact of the disincentivizing of importing from their country, but they're not eating the tariff cost. That's U.S. companies. And he still hasn't gotten his head around that or doesn't choose to be honest on it. Then this.
Thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into...
Donald, I love the way he's talking to him, but bad guys. In our country, Donnie, even bad guys. You're doing great. I'm going to give you a sticker if you listen to the rest of this sentence, okay? Even real bad boys, real baddies, even they get due process, okay? Now let's talk about how a bill becomes a law.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process, right?
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Venezuelans.
They get whatever my lawyers say.
Right. All right.
This is the reason why I'm spending so much time on this. Moments like that can kind of just fall off because they're not as hostile or whatever. But that's just him admitting, yeah, you're right. Due process, that's not really my thing. And that is how our system of laws collapses. And everyone's always fine with it when it's not them and then it's too late when it is them. Trump also struggled to just say, yeah, I recommend people get vaccinated for measles, which is idiotic.
And it's because people aren't getting their children vaccinated. Do you recommend to parents that they get their children vaccinated for measles?
Well, I recommend the governors to make the decisions. You have a very talented governor of Texas, and he's making decisions, and those decisions are going to be made rapidly. This is a very much different thing than COVID in terms of rapidity and speed and other things. Measles have been with us a long time, and I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that the governors are making the decision. It's a federalist decision.
The president is our leader in so many ways, and your voice counts so much. And you
Again with the baby talk. I love it. Your voice matters so much, Donald. All right. I see what he's doing, and I do actually appreciate Terry's handling of this interview. But it's your voice matters so much. Do you know that? Do you know that you might be one of the most listened to people on the planet?
The president is our leader in so many ways, and your voice counts so much. And you can't tell moms and dads, yeah, it's a good thing to get a measles vaccine.
Do I recommend it?
Yes,
yes I do.
Okay.
I recommend it, yeah.
Got it. That was
my question. Do I mandate it? No.
No, I didn't
But
ask.
I do recommend it, yes.
Oh, there we go. Well, eventually he got there. That was nice. Then he essentially admits here that he's weaponizing the DOJ.
That Biden knew anything about it.
Fair enough. But you are the president now, and I'm asking the justification for going after people you don't like.
No. People that I think are dishonest. It's not that I don't even know most of them. They're people that I
These
think
people
are
made
dishonest.
you angry.
No, it's not anger. These are people that I think are very dishonest. I don't think they're worthy of being able to go into top secret information. I think that's fine. And Biden did that with many of our people. But
You see there that it's not any better to say, no, I'm not going after people because I'm mad at them. I'm going after them because, and this is the exact language he used, I think they're dishonest. And we know how Trump chooses who is dishonest in his mind. They're negative towards him. So he kind of just gives away the game completely there. He was asked, what do you say to people who believe you to be authoritarian?
What do you say to people who are concerned you are seizing too much power and becoming an authoritarian president like we haven't had before?
no, I would hate them to think that. I'm doing one thing. I'm making America great again. We have a country that was failing. We have a country that was laughed at all over the world. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. Our country suffered greatly, and now our country's coming back like nobody can believe.
Yes, for the first time in 3 years, a GDP contraction. That's how we're coming back. We'll talk more about that. Or if you're watching the main show, I think we already talked about that in a different segment today. Share your thoughts, and as I mentioned before, join our member community by clicking the join button below.